The right effort will bring us to right Sati. This word Sati is defined in the suttas. There's about 8 suttas that have the same definition. And Sati is defined as to remember and call to mind what was said and done a long time ago. This word Sati comes from a root word which is spelled S-M-R-T-I. And that word means to remember. So Sati is concerned with remembering. Why is it concerned with remembering? Because we have to remember to be mindful of the body and mind. Why the body and mind? Because the self is always associated with 5 things. That's the body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness. These 5 things, whenever we talk about I, the self, we always associate with these 5 things, whether in this life or the previous life or in the future life. When we refer to I, we always refer to these 5 things. And these 5 things, body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness, they are basically body and mind. Body and mind. So when we practice Sati, we have to remember to be mindful of body and mind. And the mind is even more important, because if we look into the mind, after some time we realize that the body is also in the mind. And it's not in the 5 sense objects, Our attention should not go out into seeing, to hearing, smelling, taste and touch. This is very obvious in 2 suttas. So this word Sati can mean recollection, right recollection. Or if you use the word mindfulness, then you have to remember it is not general mindfulness, because mindfulness has 2 meanings. The more people associate mindfulness as with being generally aware of what's going on. But if you are just aware of what's going on, that means you are aware of what's happening around you in the world of the 5 sense objects, and that is not concerned with the Buddha's mindfulness. The other meaning of mindfulness is to remember. To remember, the sense of remembering, and that is the more correct word, because as I said just now, Sati means to remember and call to mind what was said and done a long time ago. So, as I said just now, mindfulness is concerned only with the body and the mind, not the 5 sense objects, the external world. This is seen in 2 suttas very clearly. One is Samyutta Nikaya 35.199. There's a parable given of a tortoise and a jackal. One day the Buddha said a tortoise was walking by the bank of a river trying to look for some food, walking along and trying to look for some food. Suddenly he saw in the distance a jackal. Jackal is a kind of a fox-like animal coming in the distance, and that is an enemy of the tortoise, because it will eat the tortoise if it has a chance. So when the tortoise saw the jackal in the distance, he got so scared. Then he said, now I have to withdraw all my 4 limbs and my head. So he withdrew all the 4 limbs and the head into its shell and lay down very still. Then the jackal came up to this tortoise, and then he looked at this tortoise. And he thought to himself, if this tortoise, one of his limbs comes out, or the head comes out, I'm going to seize it and devour it and pull it out. And then he waited for the tortoise, but the tortoise was so scared, he dare not put out any limb, dare not put out his head. 1 hour passed, 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed, and the jackal got tired of waiting and the jackal left. So in the same way, the Buddha said these 5 things, the head and the 4 limbs, stand for the 5 sense organs, the seeing, hearing, smelling, taste and touch organs. If we put our attention out into these 5 organs and we observe the seeing, the hearing, etc., Mara is waiting to seize us. Mara is waiting, just like the jackal is waiting for the tortoise. Whenever your attention goes up to the 5 sense doors, Mara will catch you. So the Buddha said that is not your area, that is not your sphere. Another sutta which has a parallel meaning is given in Samyutta Nikaya 47.1.6, the parable of the quail and the falcon. The falcon is a bird, something like an eagle, while he was flying high in the sky. Then he saw this quail on the ground. Quail is a small bird. Then he swooped down and caught the quail, He caught the quail gripped the quail, and then the quail lamented to itself. The quail said, "Curse my luck, today I am caught by this falcon. If I had not strayed away from my base, from my own area, this falcon would have been no match for me, no match for me at all." And when the falcon heard that, he was surprised. Then he asked the quail, "Where is your base? Where is your area?" Then the quail pointed out to a nearby piece of land with some clods of earth, rocks and all that. And he said, "That's my area." And then the falcon said, "Okay, let you go this time, see whether you are a match for me." So the falcon flew up into the air again. So this quail went back to his ground, So he stood on a piece of rock, and then he called the falcon, and he said, come, I challenge you, something like that. So the falcon flew down, swooped down to catch the quail. When it came near, the quail jumped behind the rock where there was a hole, went to hide inside the hole. Then the falcon came and smashed itself on the rock, so it died there. So in the same way, the Buddha said, if we stray out of our own area into the 5 sense doors, then the Mara, just like the falcon, will catch us. But if we keep within our perimeter, within our grounds, then Mara would not be able to catch us. And what is our grounds? The 4 objects of Satipatthana. These 4 objects of Satipatthana are also basically body and mind. So from these 2 suttas, you find that if you want to practice mindfulness, it must only be concerned with your body and your mind, and more specifically your mind, and not out into the 5 sense doors. Now in the Majjhima Nikaya 125, it is stated that when we practice Satipatthana, I would translate that as intense states of mindfulness, or intense states of recollection. The Buddha said we should not think thoughts connected with the body, feelings, mind and the Dhamma. We should not think thoughts connected with the body, mind, feelings and Dhamma. That means we just observe. We take an independent witness attitude, just like a witness, without putting our concepts. We just watch what's going on. And when we watch these 4 objects, we see how they arise and pass away due to conditions. And in one sutta, Samyutta Nikaya 52.1.4, it is stated that the practice of Satipatthana should be abandoned after you have attained. Should be abandoned, Why it should be abandoned? Because if you have attained Satipatthana, then it becomes part of you. In the Majjhima Nikaya number 44, it is stated that Satipatthana is the mark of Samadhi. It's the characteristic mark of Samadhi. Samadhi, as you know, refers to the jhanas. So when you attain the jhanas, Satipatthana becomes automatic. That is why Satipatthana is a characteristic mark of jhana. That is why jhana, Samadhi is so important. Yes, from here you can see Satipatthana and Samadhi, jhana, they are related. Because in one sutta, the Buddha said, a careless monk, when he practices Satipatthana, his mind cannot become one-pointed, cannot become concentrated. But if he practices Satipatthana correctly, that should lead him to one-pointedness of mind. That is why after he attains one-pointedness of mind, then Satipatthana can be abandoned, because it becomes a characteristic mark of Samadhi. Some people think that the jhanas are not useful states to practice. They think that when you attain jhana, there is no mindfulness. This is completely different from the suttas. In the suttas, in the description of the fourth jhana, it is stated that the fourth jhana is a state of complete purity of Sati. In the state of the fourth jhana, Sati is completely pure. In fact, these states of jhana are intense states of mindfulness. If you are not intensely mindful, you cannot enter these jhana states. And the fact that Satipatthana is very much to do with the jhanas can be seen from a sutta, Samyutta Nikaya 47.3.8. The Venerable Anuruddha, the Arahant Anuruddha, is well known for his great psychic power of clairvoyance. It is stated in the suttas that Anuruddha could see the whole world system so clearly like in the palm of his hand. And somebody asked him, how did you get such great psychic power? And Anuruddha replied, it is due to Satipatthana. Normally, psychic power has to do with jhanas, but here he is saying that because of Satipatthana, that he has such great psychic power. So from here you can see Satipatthana is not divorced from the jhanas, one-pointedness of mind. They have everything to do with the jhanas. Now that leads us to right concentration, because the practice of right mindfulness will end up in right concentration, and that is defined as one-pointedness of mind, or the four jhanas. What is this word jhana? Jhana is a word which literally means burning or incandescence, bright, And so a good translation for a state of jhana is a state of mental incandescence, because when a person attains jhana, the mind lights up. That is why those beings in the jhana planes, they are like a ball of light. Like a ball of light. There's a description how when Mahabrahma comes to visit Sakadeva Raja in the heavens of the 33, Sakadeva Raja, he sees from a long distance away a ball of light flying towards him, and they know that Mahabrahma is coming. So they stand in attention, and then when this ball of light in a short while comes in front of them, and then because this being Mahabrahma is with his psychic power, he changes into a shape of a young deva, and then he'll talk to Sakadeva Raja. And when he has finished talking to him, he'll go back to his state of a ball of light and fly away. So these beings in the jhana plane, their state is a state of brightness. That is why a good translation of jhana is a state of mental incandescence. And why is it jhana is stressed in the Buddha's teachings? Because there is one sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya 4.41 where it is stated that the best condition for jnana dasana sometimes is translated as knowing and seeing, or insight knowledge. It is stated there that the best condition for insight knowledge or knowing and seeing is a mind that is bright, that is luminous, incandescent. So from there you can see why jhana is important in the Buddha's teachings. When you attain jhana, the mind lights up. And when the mind lights up, the hindrances are abandoned. That is why it is important. And certain suttas seem to imply that even when you come out of jhana, the hindrances are also not there, because for example, there's one sutta that says that when one attains the jhanas, then the hindrances are unconsciously restrained. You don't need to make an effort, they by itself restrained. Now jhana, when a person attains jhana, he attains the 5 factors of jhana: vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekagata. And this jhana is concerned with this one-pointedness of mind, ekagata. And there is a sutta which makes us understand what is this one-pointedness of mind. This is Samyutta Nikaya number 35.206. There's a parable of a hunter with 6 animals. The Buddha said, one day a hunter caught 6 animals. What are these 6 animals? An eagle, a monkey, a snake, a crocodile or alligator, a dog, and a hyena. Now after catching these 6 animals, the hunter roped them, tied them with a rope. And these 6 ropes, he tied the 6 ropes into a knot, and he let go these 6 animals. When he let these 6 animals go, what happens? They want to go to their natural ground, their natural home. The eagle will try to fly into the air. The monkey will try to climb up a tree. The snake will try to find a hole to hide itself. The alligator will try to go into the water. The dog will want to go into town to look for food. And the hyena wants to go up the hill. That's where he lives. So these 6 animals are pulling in 6 different directions. And at any one time, whichever animal is stronger, he will pull and the rest will have to follow him. After a while he becomes tired. Another one is stronger and he will pull and the others have to follow him. And similarly, one after the other, they are pulling in 6 different directions. And that is a simile for a normal mind. The normal mind jumps from object to object because the 6 sense doors, the objects are pulling us in the 6 different directions. As you sit here listening to this Dharma talk, perhaps you are trying to put your attention here. Suppose a car goes by and sounds the horn, and suddenly your attention is pulled there. Right? Or suddenly if a mosquito bites you, you get a sting and suddenly your attention goes there again. Or because you are sitting too long, you get an ache in your legs and suddenly attention goes there. So that is the normal state of mind where our attention is being pulled from object to object, changing. And the Buddha said that is not the way to control the mind. That is definitely not the way. So the Buddha said, just like if the hunter wants to control these 6 animals, what he has to do is to take all these 6 ropes tied to these 6 animals and tie them all around a stout pole or a stout post. And wherever these 6 animals try to go, they can only go round and round the pole, round and round the pole until they get tired, and then they will very quietly slide down or sit down, very docile beside the post or the pole. So in the same way, the Buddha said, to tame our mind, we must tie our attention, put our attention to one object, just like that stout pole. If it goes away, we pull it back again to that one object. It goes away, we pull it back again. Continually try to pull it back until the mind becomes tame. Because it is the nature of the mind to flit about to the 6 objects. And to tame the mind, you have to do the opposite. That is what the mind does not like to do. That is why cultivating jhana is difficult. It's not easy. And because it is not easy, a lot of people try to find some excuse for not cultivating jhana. They say you can do without jhana. But that is not the Buddha's teachings. In the Majjhima Nikaya 108, remember Ananda was asked, what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha? What type of meditation is not praised by the Buddha? And he said, the type of meditation where the 5 hindrances are abandoned is praised by the Buddha. The type of meditation where the 5 hindrances are not abandoned is not praised by the Buddha. And from there we can understand why we need to cultivate jhana, because the hindrances are abandoned. Now you notice in the Ariyan Eightfold Path that the last factor is jhana, perfect samadhi. And then there is a term called charana. One of the names of the Buddha is Vijja Charana Sampanno, one perfect or replete with conduct and knowledge. So this word charana, sometimes translated as conduct, sometimes as practice, is certain things that a monk has to cultivate along the holy path. Things like contentment, sila, guarding the six sense doors, moderation in eating, Sati Sampajanya, etc. And the last thing that he attains is also attainment of the four jhanas. Now sometimes people wonder, what is the benefit of jhanas when these external ascetics, they also attain jhanas and yet they don't have wisdom. Now in the Majjhima Nikaya 117, it is stated that the Ariyan right concentration is one pointedness of mind supported by the 7 other factors of the Ariyan Eightfold Path. You see, the Ariyan Eightfold Path consists of 8 factors. You cannot just use one factor to succeed. You must use all 8 factors. You cannot say, jhana is useless because external ascetics get jhana and they can't have wisdom, because they don't have the other factors. You see, but when you have all 8 factors pulling together, then that brings us to Arahanthood. You cannot say, for example, what's the use of sila? You just cultivate sila, and a person cannot become enlightened by sila. But that does not mean sila is not necessary by itself. Sila cannot bring you enlightenment, but it is one of the factors in the Ariyan Eightfold Path. Without sila, you cannot go anywhere in the Ariyan Eightfold Path. You cannot succeed. In one sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 149, it is stated, when the Ariyan Eightfold Path is fully developed, all the 37 Bodhipakkhiya Dhammas are fully developed. And Samatha and Vipassana are led to work together. You see, when the Ariyan Eightfold Path is developed, all 37 Bodhipakkhiya Dhammas are fully developed. What are the 37 Bodhipakkhiya Dhammas? The Ariyan Eightfold Path, the 7 Bojjhanga, the 5 Bala, the 5 Indriya, and then the 4 Satipatthana, the 4 right efforts, etc. All of them are fully developed. And Samatha and Vipassana work together. Now we started off with right view. Remember, the first factor of the Ariyan Eightfold Path is right view. There is one sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya 43 where it is stated that if you have right view and it is assisted by 5 other things, you can attain liberation or arahanthood as the result. What are these 5 other things? That means these 5 things support right view. The first one is sila, moral conduct. Second one is Dhamma savana, listening to the Dhamma. That means listening to the suttas or studying the suttas. Third one is Dhamma sakacca, discussion of the Dhamma. Fourth one is samatha. Fifth one is vipassana. Samatha and vipassana is concerned with meditation. Okay? So just meditation by itself with right view is not sufficient. You must have sila, you must have hearing the Dhamma, Dhamma savana, you must have Dhamma sakacca, discussion of Dhamma. These 2 things, Dhamma savana and Dhamma sakacca, listening to the suttas and discussion of the suttas, brings you bahu sacha. What is bahu sacha? Much learning. That means much knowledge of the suttas or the Dhamma. Only with much knowledge of the Dhamma, then together with samatha and vipassana, you can attain, and sila, you can attain arahanthood. Now, there is one sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya which gives 5 ways to attain arahanthood. Not just one way, 5 ways. What are these 5 ways when a person attains Ariyahood? The first one is listening to Dhamma. To listen to Dhamma, and joy arises. It is stated that joy arises. When joy arises, the mind becomes tranquil. And when mind becomes tranquil, it becomes concentrated. And when it becomes concentrated, insight develops. And then you attain Ariyahood. That's the first one, listening to Dhamma. The second one is teaching Dhamma. When you teach Dhamma, the understanding, you have to understand it before it comes out. So in the process of teaching Dhamma, also happiness arises. And when happiness arises, the mind becomes tranquil and concentrated, and insight arises. So the second way of attaining Ariyahood is teaching Dhamma. The third one is repeating Dhamma. Nowadays, because we have books, people are very lazy to repeat Dhamma. In the days of the Buddha, when they did not have books, they have to repeat Dhamma again and again and again and again. And so Dhamma was transmitted from generation to generation. So in the process of repeating Dhamma, the more times we repeat it in our mind, the more we understand. Just like reading a sutta. You read the sutta once, you only catch a certain number of points. The more times you read the sutta, the more points you catch. And then when you understand more, then the insight arises. So the third one is repeating Dhamma. The fourth one is reflecting on Dhamma, pondering on Dhamma that you have already heard, that you have already studied. You reflect on it. And when you reflect on it, you come to understand more, and insight arises, and you attain Ariyahood. The last one is meditation. During meditation, you attain it. So be very clear, it is not only during meditation that you attain Ariyahood. 4 other ways are not concerned with meditation at that time. Only one is during meditation. Now in one sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya 4.170, the Arahant Ananda was very old at that time. And the Buddha had passed into Nibbana. And the monks and nuns who attained Ariyahood, Arahanthood, they would come and declare to the Venerable Ananda that they had become an Arahant. During the Buddha's time, they would go and inform the Buddha that they had become Arahant. But now the Buddha was no more around. They came to inform Venerable Ananda. And in this sutta, Venerable Ananda said, all the monks and nuns who came to me to declare that they attained Arahanthood, all said that they attained by 1 of 4 ways. That means there is only 4 ways to attain Arahanthood. The first one, they practice Samatha first, followed by Vipassana. The second one, they practice Vipassana first, followed by Samatha. You see? Usually people only know that you practice Samatha, after that you have to practice Vipassana. They don't know the reverse, the converse is equally true. Even you practice Vipassana, you cannot attain Arahanthood until you practice Samatha. So that's the second one, Vipassana followed by Samatha. Third one is Samatha and Vipassana at the same time. The fourth one is a method that is seldom practiced in Theravada circles nowadays. It's gone into Zen, gone into Jnana Yoga. That is meditating on the self, that feeling of the self, staying with the self until the mind becomes one-pointed. And then the way is obvious to that person, and then he goes on to attain Arahanthood. So these are the 4 ways to attain Arahanthood. And in all these 4 ways, both Samatha and Vipassana is necessary.